we have a lower baseline because we work less together. But I would say the ceiling of this team is way higher. Like it's not third place or top of the table. It's first place.
Hey guys, this is Pedro and I'm back with a brand new interview. This time I'm accompanied by Hidon, the coach for GIANTX, fresh off of a win over Rogue in the third week of the 2024 LEC Winter split, thus putting them into the next phase of the entire competition. So, first off, like I said before, the start of this video, thank you so much for taking the time and progressing to the next stage. What's going through your mind right now?
I mean, thank you for the congratulations 2 times. So what's going through my mind? I mean, it's obviously never enjoyable that you have to fight to get top 8. I think our team is way better than that. But coming into, I mean, LEC week 1 and 2, we had so many issues that we didn't know was there, because the real issues you only figure out when you're actually playing on stage, because scrims don't really show, because it's not the same amount of pressure, it's not the same stage, it doesn't mean as much, right? So I mean, at least for players, it doesn't, right? So you try to replicate it as much as possible, but no matter what, you can't do it 1-to-1. So you only figure out the real issues and the real problems after week 1 and 2. I think we adapted well, and in my mind, I mean, I'm happy that we won, but to me, it doesn't mean much, playoffs or not. We would have worked the exact same way regardless, except less official games, which sucks. But I mean, happy with the win. Means more games, means more time to improve and get ready for the real matches that matter.
Yeah, such topics concerning the team's issues throughout the entire season was touched upon concerning with Giant X players, specifically Ignart and also Odoamne shortly after this recent match against Rogue in the broadcast. But to hear you talk about how you guys encountered issues throughout the season, I want to know, like, what were the issues exactly that you feel the team was plagued by so far this year?
I mean, communication for sure. Not because of Koreans or Peach or anything like that. The issues were communication, just not listening to each other, um, not understanding the pressure. I would say our communication in scrim for some players were not even close to the same in official. So that was a huge issue, and we aim to fix that, or we fix that as much as possible by having one-on-one sessions, by looking at their game right, our team fighting, and our approach to the game. I think in each week we had 3 different approaches, because we tried something, for example, with the Senna Seraphine, but we didn't have backup options, and then our practice was pretty much useless for that week. But I feel we have a very good formula moving forward, and we can just keep building on it, and then yeah, we're ready.
Yeah, and it definitely looked at it definitely feels that you guys have been able to correct those kinds of mistakes in that recent match against Rogue. Despite a shaky early start to the match, you guys were able to pick players off from the opposing side, pull off clean team fights, and just go on from there to the very end. Um, Pivoting towards the third week, obviously, as I mentioned at the start of the conversation, with you guys getting to playoffs, but the main mission was to get there in the first place, and you guys had to go through a pretty rough schedule in the third week. Taking wins off of Mad Lions and also this recent match, and so you also mentioned about how you guys look to address the issues prior to the start of the third week of the season. But exactly what did you stress, as the coach, when it came time to now play these matches against these 3 teams that I mentioned before? What was the message that you gave to the players, at the start of this weekend, also as it transpired?
Yeah, I mean, let's So first of all, again, communication, right? We talked about it before. Our planning, our fundamentals, not listening to each other, not understanding like basic concepts. After so many weeks of playing, I think we played for like 5 weeks now. It's a huge alarm bell. So we just addressed it. Talk with players one on one. Talk with players 5 on 5 or together, right? All together. Um, and for me, I don't care if we go 0-3 as long as we play well and we get outplayed. But if we go 0-3 because we're playing like animals and we're not progressing and doing better and better each match, then I have an issue, right? So um, I don't see it as a 2-1 week. I see it as a how much did we improve from these 3 games and from the week as a whole. And I would say we did very well, regardless of the results, regardless of what happened. And for today, my mid laner feels he can do more than he should. He's a cocky 19-year-old, and he will get the belt when we get home.
Uh, well, as you said, what were some of the things that you saw off of Jackie's for this week that you feel the need to give him the belt?
No, he's been improving a lot. Like he's one of the fastest improving players I've ever had. If I tell him do X, he will do X, and he will do it very well. It's not like I have to tell him to do X, then explain him how to do X again, and then explain him again and again. You explain it the first time, and he gets it. And that's something that's insanely important for a rookie and just for an individual, because if you have this hunger for knowledge, and you have someone knowledgeable around you that can give you this knowledge, and you just soak it up. I mean, you will just improve at a faster rate, right? So um, he's a great kid, great kid. I'm very happy to have him. Very happy to have scouted him. We're obviously very happy with him. But obviously, this match, he was very cocky. He didn't follow the scouting as he should. He didn't follow the map movement, even though it was super obvious. And he didn't flash when he got ganked. He tried to sidestep. So he was sad with his performance. He didn't even want to look at me after the game because he knew what he did.
Mhm.
But no matter win or lose, I will tell him it's okay. It's a learning curve, and I mean I will help him improve.
I guess it's one of those difficult things when it comes to coaching young players, just to try to also find a balance between just letting them do their own thing and just let them, use their talent as effectively as they can, and also while also having them following a certain plan that you guys have already, set out in advance, and just having to 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 fulfill that. It's kind of difficulty in trying to find a balance with that kind of player such as Jackie's.
No, it's not difficult at all. I mean, the important part for a coach or for me as a coach, it's not game related. It's more out of game related. I have huge responsibilities on my shoulders, and what I mean by that is shaping his personality. It's obviously a huge responsibility, and not something I take lightly. How he becomes as a person will mostly reflect on how I act as a leader and as a person towards him, right? As a role model. Um, Although we are working a lot on in-game related, the most important thing for me is his personality, how he ends up becoming. I don't want to have a cocky mid laner that thinks he's the best in the world. I want to have a humble mid laner that understands that hard work pays off and what is required to be at the top.
Mhm.
So to sum it up, he's very nice to work with because he soaks up knowledge very well, and he's very humble and has a good mind on him for a 19-year-old.
Yeah, and now pivoting from focusing on just, Yankees, but now focusing on the entire team. Of course, when you getting to the second phase of the winter split, given the team's progression from last season, which you guys finished fifth overall in the season finals, it's sort of just expected despite the issues that you guys underwent in the winter split. And so when you look at this team and how it has progressed throughout these 3 weeks in the regular season, you compare that to how it was last season, last split, at the end of 2023. How would you compare this iteration compared to the previous one? Besides having a new roster.
Obviously, I would say that's a great question, right? It's something you always would like to know, like how is it going behind the scenes? I mean, to me, I wouldn't compare the rosters in terms of like results and stuff like that because I would compare it in terms of baseline and ceiling. So right now, obviously, we have a we have a lower baseline because we work less together. But I would say the ceiling of this team is way higher. Like it's not third place or top of the table. It's first place, right? And if you're not competing for first place, why are you competing at all? It doesn't make sense to me. Um, so obviously that means there will be bumps on the road. It means that this bump that we already encountered is just one of them. There will be many more. But now comes the fun part because we are over the biggest bump, I would say, which is the starting line and the initial problems that you encounter throughout the first split. Um, but now starts the fun part where we can build more and more and more, and we can find more of a team identity within the game. But outside of that, I mean, the coaching staff stayed, me, Luis, and Cass. We added Alex as a manager. We obviously got the merger, which means different people. But the most important thing is the infrastructure we built, because the infrastructure for me is what carries everyone through the split. It's what carries everyone towards, I mean, the top of the table. Look at G2 as an example, right? They can almost pick any player and be at the top, if not the best team, because I believe their infrastructure is so good and they know what they're looking for. And I want to build my own version of that in GX.
Of course. And one final question before we wrap it up. Um, Now that you guys are into to the group stage in this split, what are your expectations? In relation to how the first phase panned out or played out for you. What are your expectations for groups now that your team has secured a spot in top eight?
Yeah, I have to give you the boring answer because that's the type of person I am. I never talk about results because it doesn't matter to me. I believe that the results come from everything else you do in your day-to-day life, in your day-to-day as a team. So, in terms of result, I can't give you an answer. In terms of expectations, we will keep working. I think we are working very, very hard each day, considering, and then the results will come. So you have to live with the boring answer.
Of course, and hopefully, good things will continue for yourself and this team, after this recent match against Rogue. So thank you so much, for the time and for this interview. Really
No
appreciate
problem.
it, and best of luck in the future.
Thank you. Thank you.